All right, first we're going to start off by cutting down our lumber to rough size to the sizes that we need. That way it'll be less on me to carry around, and it'll be easier for the joining process. And as you see right now, I am long ripping these boards with the track saw in preparation to take it to the joiner. This makes it easier. It makes less passes at the joiner and during the milling process. Once we get through that, it's pretty much going through the planer and then going through the joiner, and we are on to having enough boards to make a tabletop. Then we're going to run some 14mm dominoes in all of these boards so that when I get ready to do these glue ups, they can be aligned a lot easier than it would be without them. And basically I am doing this glue up in 2 halves because this tabletop is going to be huge. I mean huge. I mean 7 feet by 7 feet is a pretty large tabletop. Normally 7 feet by 4 feet is your typical size, so this is double that size. And trying to glue up all that at one time would just not be a good thing, and also once it's all glued up, it would be really hard to move. Glued up, we just glued this one up, rolled it up. Now we're going to start gluing up the second half. Alright, so now we're moving over to the CNC where we have some 3/4 inch oak plywood, and we are using a 91-degree V-bit from a mounter tool to cut some miter folds. This will be a miter fold 48 by 48 inch box for the table base. Alright, once we get this off the CNC, we're going to be using some Rockler clamping jigs. And if you have not used these before, you don't have a set of these in your shop, they really do come in handy when it's time to assemble boxes, especially large boxes. They basically hold the workpiece up really well, and then I use some of the 3/4 inch top clips as well to hold the tops. I had to stop the video because I couldn't find these guys. You know, when you reorganize, clean up, so-called clean up, you suddenly forget where things used to be at. So sometimes you gotta go looking, but these little things are great for clamping corners together. Rockler 3/4 inch corner clamp. All right, we have a box. So this will be the frame for the table base of that table. So that's going to be an 80 inch by 80 inch table. This is going to be a 48 inch by 48 inch box. And then we're going to wrap this box with some strips going all the way around it. Alright guys, tabletops are done being glued up. They're all dry, and because I have the benefit of using the CNC as a flattening mechanism, that is what I'm doing here, getting both sides flattened, and then we will use the domino to join the 2 halves together and make one large tabletop. Alright, so here's the blocking that I was talking about for the table base. I basically made some 45 off of some offcuts and then pocket hole them, and then we screw these into the corner to give this base some extra rigidity. Once I have these secured in place, I am going to come back and put a cross member in going both ways. And basically I did this cross member by using some half lap joints, and I securing them with pocket holes also to give this table base some extra strength. You'll notice that down below I have some blocks there so that it can be set just at the right height to meet up with the top of the table base and not be touching the ground. All right, so now we are ripping down some 3/4 inch solid oak to wrap around the table base. This will provide depth to the table base and give it a board and batten look. It's going to be wrapped around it in a horizontal fashion. But instead of brad nailing this piece by piece on the outside of the table base, I am decided to create these out of place and make the squares using pocket holes so that I have no visible joinery holes on the outside of this table base. It'll give it a cleaner look wrapped around the table, and allow me to basically just slide these squares over top of the table base. Now, in order to do this, I would have to make these 1/16 larger than the actual table base. That'll give me 1/32 split on both sides to slide these things around the table base. It'll give it a nice snug fit and allow me to basically just shimmy them down into place. But before that, of course, you got to do roundovers and sanding and all of that good stuff. And it's got to get finish put on it. So I'm going to do all the finishing out of place before I slide it over top of the table base. I'm also going to put finish on the table base before I slide these over top of it. That way nothing will be missed, and it'll be seamless and look really professional and finished. So the choice of finish for this table base is a whitewash, and I'm using a Krylon whitewash paint to do this. And basically you put it on and wipe it off. Now this process is a learning experience for me with this actual finish, because halfway through it I realized that it was drying faster than I could put it on and wipe it off. So in future projects, I think I'm going to spray this finish on and then wipe off. That way I can actually keep up with how fast it dries. And now we get to do the shimmy shake. So basically I put one piece on and then I secure it with screws from behind so that there's no visible fasteners or nail holes in this piece. And it looks like a really, really nice finished professional piece at the end of this project. You'll also notice that I'm using an offcut of these pieces to provide my spacing. So each piece is 2 inches, which is giving me a 2-inch space in between it to make it look uniform. All right, so I'm back to the two tabletops now. I just got this one back off the CNC. I needed to take off one more 16th off of it. CNC did a perfect job of that. It wasn't because of my calculation or anything. It was a guy working it out for me, and it hit it on the first try. So now that these two are pretty much the same thickness, I'm going to redo my domino holes. So the old existing ones will not be used, and I will put in new ones close to them right beside it, and allow the top surfaces to be flush with each other. And then I'll do all of my final sanding while this thing is pulled together and after everything is cut to length and width. So let's get to it. I know a lot of people think that the domino is a really expensive tool and is kind of overpriced or maybe not needed, but I am telling you, when you do need it and when it does come in handy, it is one tool that I am glad to have, and that, man, it just makes it so easy. It's basically a portable mortiser, and doing this job, I probably would not have been able to line those joints up as evenly without it. And while we're on the Festool talk, here's another great tool that I just would not rather go without, and that is my TS75 track saw with the extra long track on it. So that allows me to basically cut all my tabletops down to suit and a number of other things as well. And I don't use it as much as I used to now that I have the CNC, but this still has its purposes.
Now I have these guys cut to rough length. Gave myself like an extra ½ inch in case I gotta make any repairs or any changes. But now they're cut to rough length, I got it flipped over, and now I'm going to start sanding it while it is pulled together with dominoes. I'll sand everything, make sure it's level on the bottom and good, and then I'll probably go through the entire finishing process on the bottom and then flip it over and repeat the same process. Then once we're done, I'll take it all apart and hopefully assemble successfully on job site. Starting this sanding process off with 40 grit on Rotex mode. Try to get all of the CNC lines out, flatten anything that looks uneven, like this seam here that may be like a hair off, and then I'll progress through the grits, and as I get closer to 120, I will switch from Rotex mode to finish mode.
All right, I didn't like the idea of having sharp corners on this table, so we're going to do a 1.5 inch radius on it. And then we're going to go through all of the bottom and the top with a 1/8 inch round over. And if you're wondering why I'm using a jigsaw to cut this instead of using the router bit and the jig as a template, to be honest with you, the router bit was too small, and this is just a lot easier for me. All right, I've always wanted to take one of these pictures, and this time I did it. This is a pretty big table, and I don't get the opportunity to work with big slabs, so here we are. One big table. I am 6 foot tall. All right, so we are all sanded, edges rounded over, radiuses put on, and we are preparing to stain the bottom side. So we are looking pretty good. I got white epoxy put in here, sanded down. Since this is going to be a whitewash tabletop, chose to go with some white epoxy, and now we can move on to stain. All right, so this is the moment where I realized that I could not keep up with how fast this finish was drying. Like, man, can you see those lines in that? So I tried to fix it by going and grabbing a roller. Maybe I can move faster. It still didn't fix it. I went to sleep that night and was like, I'm about to sand all of this off. And the next day when I started sanding, it looked beautiful. And so one light sand and it all evened out. It brought out the texture, the grain of the wood, and by happenstance, by trial and error, I learned the process that I needed to sand it anyway. So instead of just wiping it on and wiping it off, I wiped it on, wiped it off, and then sanded it back, and it left a beautiful wood grain and whitewash finish. Now we're on to clear coating, tabletop, and table base. A relief. All right, so I thought I was ready to go. We were going to install these figure-8 clips here and secure table, but then I realized that this second hole was right over top of this, and I would never be able to get a screw back in there. So we are transitioning to some steel flat plate and gonna router out that so that it sits flush, and then it'll secure down to the base in 3 points, and then we will secure back up through from the overhang. So this is the fix, and now we're gonna get to making this look better and getting it all fit in. All right, so basically we have marked off where we want to drill, and we have done one hole and countersunk it. So now this little guy sits flush like so. So drill here and then countersink on the bit here, and voila. So we're going to repeat this process along these and along that one, and then we'll have some attachment bars. I don't often use a drill press in my work, but this is one of those times where it really comes in handy. This really gets it done faster than using a drill by hand, and also it allows me to set up a block behind it so I can have a repeated process. Alright, so I made a mess because I need to cut these out for these to sit flush. So I made a bigger plate for my router. So this is going to help me basically cut out something like that over there. Alright, that went well. Now we just got to repeat the process a few more times. And if you notice here, I'm putting tape on the outside edges. That way I can get a clean cut and prevent any blowout, or at least try to reduce it. So that worked out well. And here we are with a recessed brace. Alright, we have successfully made it to job site, and now we are going to put the tabletops on, glue them up, and then go through the finishing process again. So the glue is dry now the next day, and we are securing the tabletop. That way we know nothing's going to move, and we can go through the finishing process. So we're applying the whitewash again here, and after the whitewash is applied, we'll come back the next day and lightly sand until we like enough wood grain showing, and then we can go through with the clear coat. This is with whitewash applied. Tomorrow will be sanding and clear coat application. Now this sanding process, like I said, this is just using 220. I'm lightly sanding, and it's really just a delicate process, and me deciding when I can see enough wood grain and it looks even enough to where I think it's going to look good. So it's just a feel for it, and once you get a feel for it, you'll know what it looks like and how it's supposed to look and how you like it. Once I get this all sanded, then we're going through with another clear coat, and this will be like 3 or 4 clear coats, but I mean, I'm not going to bore you with that many coats. So we're going to show you once, and then we're going to show you how it looks when it's wet, because it's just a nice pretty look. But it's all going to dry like a satin finish, and then I'm going to lightly sand in between coats, spray another coat, and then this tabletop will be done, and this table will be done. So I hope you guys have liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, and if you haven't watched all of my other videos, go watch all of them, because I'm really trying to get watch time hours up, and just continue this journey on YouTube. Until next time, guys, talk to you later.